haunting of Emily's doll. Once, in a quiet, picturesque town nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, there lived a little 8-year-old girl named Emily. She was an enchanting child with bright, innocent eyes that sparkled with wonder. Emily had a secret companion, a doll named Abigail. But Abigail was no ordinary doll. She was a relic from a forgotten era. Her porcelain face etched with an eerie, unchanging smile. Emily's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Hawthorne, initially found Abigail in the attic of their old Victorian home shortly after moving in. It was dusty, cracked, and uncannily lifelike. To Emily, though, Abigail was a friend. She claimed that Abigail whispered secrets to her and protected her from the monsters that lurked in the darkness. As the weeks passed, a sinister change overcame Emily's doll. Abigail's eyes, once lifeless, seemed to gleam with a malevolent intelligence. Emily would wake in the middle of the night to find the doll perched at the foot of her bed, its porcelain fingers curled around her throat. Terrified and gasping for breath, Emily would beg the doll to stop, and miraculously, it would. One evening, Emily's father, Mr. Hawthorne, couldn't bear to witness his daughter's torment any longer. He locked Abigail in a wooden chest and buried it in the yard under a thick layer of soil. Emily's cries and pleas were heart-wrenching, but he was determined to free her from the sinister doll's grasp. However, that night, Emily's screams echoed through the house once more. Abigail had returned, her porcelain skin unblemished, as if she had never been buried. Mrs. Hawthorne was paralyzed with fear, watching her daughter struggle in the grip of the malevolent doll. Desperate and terrified, the parents sought the help of a renowned psychic, Madame Serafina. She arrived at the Hawthorne residence with a sense of foreboding. After a séance, she revealed a horrifying truth. Abigail was possessed by the vengeful spirit of a girl who had died under mysterious circumstances long ago. The spirit craved revenge and used Emily as its conduit. Madame Serafina's attempts to exorcise the spirit from the doll only seemed to enrage it further. Abigail began to exert control over Mr. Hawthorne's mind, driving him to the brink of madness. His once loving gaze toward his daughter turned sinister, and he began to mutter incoherent chants, seemingly under the doll's influence. Fearing for their lives, Mrs. Hawthorne and Emily locked themselves in the attic, where they found old journals and letters detailing the tragic history of the doll. Abigail had been created by a toy maker named Agnes, who had lost her only daughter in a terrible accident. Agnes believed that if she could transfer her daughter's soul into the doll, they would be reunited forever. The doll, now fueled by both Agnes's grief and the vengeful spirit, was unstoppable. It began to manipulate reality, twisting the very fabric of the house. Doors slammed shut on their own. Walls oozed with a sinister black ichor, and Emily's own voice echoed eerily throughout the house, speaking in the spirit's malevolent tone. One fateful night, as Mrs. Hawthorne cradled her terrified daughter in her arms, she realized that there was only one way to end the nightmare. With tears streaming down her face, she whispered a final, desperate plea to the doll. "Take me instead, Abigail. Spare my daughter." In a moment of surreal stillness, the doll's malevolent aura vanished, and Abigail's porcelain face cracked into a sorrowful expression. It slowly turned toward Mrs. Hawthorne and nodded. The doll, now free of the vengeful spirit, slumped lifelessly in Mrs. Hawthorne's arms. She placed it back in its chest and locked it away in the attic. The house fell eerily silent, the malevolent energy dissipating with Abigail's sacrifice. However, the horror had taken its toll on Mr. Hawthorne. He had been pushed beyond the brink of sanity and was committed to an asylum, forever haunted by the memories of Abigail. Emily and her mother moved far away from the haunted house, hoping to leave the past behind. But the memory of Abigail's sinister smile and the sacrifice made for her daughter would forever linger in their hearts, a chilling reminder of the price they had paid for their family's safety.